We are witnessing the cracks of Earth Mother's bones as a new consciousness moves through her hips. We have all come here at this time to experience the Earth shift into higher consciousness. The labor pains Mother Earth is experiencing are part of this great purge and rebirth. Each of us feel this shift in our bodies and our personal consciousness.
Hello, and welcome back to my secret garden. I just want to welcome all the new gardeners who recently joined us. I'm so happy you found this space, and yeah, look forward to unfolding together. My name is Vuyi, and among many other things, I am a storyteller, I am a healer, I am a teacher, I am a student of life, and I am here like many of you, trying to understand this place and how to remember to be real here in this space. The intention I have for the space is to allow others to feel that they can be more themselves, more authentic, to, be courageous enough to gather the things, the tools, the information, the spirit that allows us to to remember who we truly are, to walk in our true authentic nature, and to free ourselves like the bird. Today I wanted to come in and talk a little bit about what I am understanding to be the themes that are emerging for the year ahead of us, and even beyond that, for the next couple of years. These are things that I've been shown, these are things that I'm intuiting, these are also things that I'm observing, as many of us have been observing the patterns unfold for many, many years now, for decades. So take what resonates, let me know what has been shown to you and what is coming up for you. The first thing that I've seen come up, and that is the rise of the underdogs, the guardians of the thresholds, what some call light workers. These are individuals who, from a very young age, or even just kind of suddenly have an awakening and a remembrance of a mission they have been sent here at this time on earth to help to activate others into remembrance, of course, starting with themselves first. They range, right? Some are just gardeners or the farmer, the organic farmer, who might not have consciousness of these words, but is walking in the legitimacy of their calling, right? Some of them work on the grid lines and the ley lines of the earth and visit some of the most sacred sites to activate and open portals that allow us to transcend to the next level of humanity's consciousness and awakening. I know this might not make sense to some, but some you might understand it on the cellular level. There might be a kind of activation on your body temple that recognizes what I'm saying. All of us are here, showed up at this time for a reason, whether we're aware of it or not, or whether we think others are asleep or not. There's a reason why all of us came through at this time. The earth has its own consciousness, and the earth itself is evolving, it's upgrading herself, which is meaning that we're being affected and we are forced awake. We are being forced to change. We are being forced to wake up and see and heal ourselves, whatever it might be. The more of us that awaken, that remember, that start to see past the illusions and start to push back and speak out or become activists in our own way, which can be, like I mentioned, the gardener, is to live alternative to what the mainstream has conditioned us into believing is the way to live for eons of time. As we awaken, more and more of us awaken, we get to a critical mass that then transforms the earth vibrationally. So our consciousness, we see, we perceive, we feel, we understand things differently because we are now elevating right? In frequency, in vibration, and that affects everything. So it affects our physical bodies, it affects the ways that we see things, or we're able to see the truth, because we're no longer in this dense energy space that keeps us in amnesia, that keeps us in confusion, that keeps us suppressed, and that keeps us malleable and easily controllable. We can see now, it might be scary to some, because when the light shines, we are able to see what's in the darkness, which is what we see in the world right now. It looks like things are breaking down, but really, the light is illuminating, and the rising in consciousness is leading the lower dense parts dissolve and crack. And this is how the light enters the world. This is how it enters our consciousness, our mental planes, mental states, our emotional states, everything. This is what's occurring in Earth. This is what a lot of us have showed up at this time to do, even though it might not make sense to us. So the rising of the underdogs, the rising of the healer, the light worker, the weirdos, the misfits, the rising of the guardians of the thresholds. There have been those who've been diligently working within the callings, those that have seen past the illusions for a very, very long time. And despite the loneliness, despite the isolation, perhaps even despite the judgment sometimes from society, from family members, and for some people, people have been ostracized for speaking out on the truth, for believing what they believe, for seeing what they see. Those who have continued to trust the plan, to trust what they've been shown, to trust what's been, planted into their hearts since they can remember, since they've been here in this earth. Those individuals are going to start to rise in the quote unquote influence. They are going to be the way showers more and more to those who have not arrived at this understanding, to those who are still stuck in fear states, to those who have been fooled by the establishment in whatever regard. In 2020, we all collectively witnessed one of the biggest betrayals that humanity has encountered. And it's one of the biggest ones because it was a collective one that left no one out. The entire globe was under the boot of the same tyranny. Those who have understood certain things for a long time are able to hold the space with courage, with love, with peace, with understanding, with acceptance, with valor, with strength, with a knowing and a faith that others may not have. So these are the individuals that are going to start to open their arms, right? Open their arms, open their hearts, to extend their hands, so that we can begin to walk together. Begin to say, listen, it looks like it's crumbling, but it's not, it's okay. We've got this. This is what is happening, to offer information, to offer the medicines, to offer the activations, to offer the songs, without now playing small. We're done with playing small to feeling weird. Yeah, maybe we're weird, maybe we're a little quirky, maybe we sound woo-woo to certain people. That's okay, right? We all have our place. We all have our gifts. We all have our uniqueness. And the times right now are calling for us to stand within that weirdness, within our authenticity and our gifts, because this is what is going to bring balance back into the earth. We have been hypnotized because we have been trained out of ourselves. And when we know ourselves, and we know ourselves on an individual level, when we take back our sovereignty, and once we've done that, band together as a collective, we can take back the power that we think we don't have, that we've been denied, and we've been duped out of. We begin to see that, in fact, we are the ones that are guardians of the earth, that are guardians of our futures, that are guardians of righteousness, of purity. And these words that I'm using aren't religious terms. That's not what I'm speaking about. When I speak about righteousness, I'm speaking about authenticity. I'm speaking about being in tune with the resonance of the earth, with the harmonics of the universe, right? The second thing that I see emerging, and that is a return to purity, a return to righteousness, which is a return to the seed point of conception of this earth, of this planet, is a return to that organic frequency before we were all sparked into this earth. The fundamental harmony, the fundamental coding, the fundamental state of who we actually are, of what this place is before all of the noise came about. We are being connected to that place again, which is asking us to be pure in our voice, or using our true voice, and being our true selves, being our authentic, organic, fundamental selves. And all of these things then allows us to, to tune back into what is real, what is the organic matrix, the organic blueprint of the universe, and no longer being tuned into the false matrix, right? The system of conditions and patterns of illusions and programming. So we're now being triggered out of the illusions. Now that leads me to my next theme. The rose tinted glasses are coming off. We are beginning to see the world as it truly is. We are seeing the news and no longer believing some of the lies that are being spun right in front of us. It's a painful thing, but we have to see into the darkest crevices in this world for true healing, balance, and retribution and cleansing to occur. Things like organ harvesting, human trafficking, child trafficking. All of these things have to come up to the surface for us to see. Whether it is us seeing into the medical system and the distortions there, into the monetary system, into the education system, into the health systems, into the food systems, agriculture. We are having to look and to see. And what we see might terrorize us, might haunt us and cause us not to sleep. But we ascend and we keep gaining understanding about what we see so that we can turn it around. When we know what we don't want, we can then begin to work towards what we want. And we are at a point where there's so much of what we don't want in front of us. And it's scary, but it's moving us into action. It's moving us back into community. It's moving us back home into ourselves. It's moving us into our true nature and into the truth with a capital T, eternal truth, divine truth. It's not easy because there is a mourning that has to happen, right? We have to mourn the lies. We have to mourn the false self that we had to assume, that we had to put on in order for us to survive here. And the parts of us that became who we call ourselves that was born out of the conditioning from schools, from our homes, whatever that might be. And it's scary because it asks us to come back to 0 point. It asks us to become nothing. It asks us to put down the labels, the titles, and the things that we believed ourselves to be for as long as we can remember. And of course that threatens the ego, right? But there's nothing wrong with the ego, and we learn that as we continue to heal. what we need to do is to transform the ego, to heal the ego, and to come from the ego from a healthy point of view. We need our ego. Our ego is sacred. And if we completely kill the ego, we won't survive in this place. But it's to transform and heal the ego and come from the ego from a healthy perspective. But we need the ego to believe in ourselves, to believe in what we're being shown, to believe in our gifts, to believe in the teachings that we're given and asked to share with others. Right? Where we are, we're having to mourn, we're having to become angry, and it's okay to be angry. There's a rage that we enter into when we realize all of these things that come up with regards to what I've mentioned, and this allows us to move into other states. And we might move into shame, we might move into guilt, we might move into what we call lower vibrational energies or lower states. But as we move through them and feel them sincerely, they graduate us to the next place, to the next place, to the next place, until we can even reach a place of peace and faith and acceptance, even amidst what we think is chaos. What is chaos? But it all just is. A theme that has been coming up a lot for me is becoming like dust. I keep hearing that, becoming like dust, becoming nothing. We have to be brave enough to dissolve our identities, to dissolve our beliefs and our deeply held ideologies. If we don't, it becomes painful. There's this resistance that comes over us, and this resistance that comes over us, and it can affect our finances, and it can affect our health. We start to have aches and pains, or we start to have accidents. We're falling, we're bumping our cars, or we continue losing things, or things continue to break because we're not allowing ourselves to die to the truth of who we really are, like to die into remembrance. The next theme that I see emerging is the scales of justice.
As I am editing this video, news have just come in that the International Court of Justice has found that there is sufficient basis for South Africa's case against Israel and will not dismiss the case as Israel has requested. This is a defining and historical moment. This is the scales of justice at work, and may it touch every corner of the earth still under the boot of the West's tyranny.
There has been a lot of subjugation, exploitation, and this exploitation has been on individuals, but it's also been on the earth and other sentient beings, animals. The way that we've treated the earth, the way that we've treated the waters, the way that we've treated ourselves and each other, the ways that the systems have taken advantage of us, right? This has happened from the top down. So the colonizations and the wars and being taken advantage of, from the medical front to the food front to all of those things, has trickled down into the family system, schooling system. So on the individual level, we've almost become tyrannical as the powers at work have treated. And so now the divine scales of justice are coming onto the earth, and we can already see them unfolding. This is going to affect what we have deemed important for a long time. So we're going to see some of the people that we have admired in various industries, whether it's been in education, or it's been in health, or it's been in spirituality or religion, and especially within celebrity, the illusions around that, the understandings that we are now going to be shown, we are going to gain in understanding how music affects us, and its distortions and the spell work around there is going to start to emerge. We're going to start to understand food and how food really works and how it affects us, organic food and inorganic foods. and how it affects the way that we think, how it affects our dreams, how it affects the way that we perceive one another, how it affects the way that we treat one another, and how it affects with how light or dark we are as individuals. All of that is emerging to transform us into different kinds of human beings, so that we can remember how to be these divine beings, these spiritual beings who have come here to have this physical experience, like this human experience, and to understand how to be divinity within this flesh, within this blood and bone vessel that is so sacred. Leads me into my two next points, which have to do with divinity, the divine justice that is coming from the hand of God is going to be felt more and more. This is going to look like people having spiritual awakenings. It's going to look like people becoming religious, people having encounters with supernatural and mystical experiences, people encountering Yeshua, people encountering God, people seeking God, people asking deeper questions, and it not being a weird or a religious thing necessarily, but something that percolates from deep within the cells, from cellular memory, from the heart, from consciousness. We're collectively going to start to remember and feel the presence of the Creator in this world. It'll look different for all of us, but some people might have an experience of feeling more compassion for other people, wanting to start to share what you have, realizing that hoarding, whether it's hoarding food or hoarding clothes or hoarding resources or hoarding love or hoarding money, is not the way. We're going to start to understand what energy exchange is. So when others illuminate our path, help us, uplift us, open our minds and our spirits and our hearts and consciousness, that we support them in ways that we can. So they give us what they have and we give them what we have, whatever that might look like. We'll see more and more of what that means through the presence of God, through the presence of the divine. We will understand that we are custodians of each other, we are custodians of this earth, and that the same way that a network of trees in a certain area, when they get wind of a tree that is lacking water, a tree that is thirsty, the trees galvanize and send through the network underneath the earth, through the network, the system beneath them. They send water to the plant or to the tree that needs water. That is how humans are wired to be. That is our organic nature. But that is how the false system, this program we're in, this dream that we are inside of, that's what it has conditioned us out of. And now we are pivoting and returning back to a place that understands what reverence is. Reverence for the tree that gives us oxygen, or the plant that gives us food, or the sun that gives us photosynthesis, or the earth, the grass, if you lay on it for long enough and consistently enough, can heal you of your deepest physical ailments. This is what we're coming into remembrance of, and the presence of the divine will begin to ground us into that truth. And that grounding is going to come into the next point that I have, is coming back into remembrance that the body has its own consciousness, that the body is sacred, and that we are here to come back into harmony and to understand our bodies. That has been I think one of
the
challenges and initiations for a lot of humans, with or without knowing, that this relationship with our bodies, we have addictions somehow, many of us, to certain things, whether it's food, whether we have dopamine addictions. We must always be watching something. We must always be listening to something. We must always be on Instagram or social media. We're addicted to alcohol. We're addicted to sex. We are addicted to violence. We are addicted to whatever it might be. We are not necessarily online and conscious of the consciousness that is our body. So we don't hear our bodies when our bodies speak to us saying, you know what, I don't like this person. This person is not right. Or this place, move now. There's danger approaching. Or this food makes me struggle to have energy. Or when I eat this, I have nightmares. When I eat this, I have more anger. We are being asked to come back into holy communion with our bodies. What is healthy, how to be healthy, how to be whole, how to vibrate high, right? How to vibrate higher and feel lighter and feel good and not override the directions and instructions of the body. We have treated our bodies the same way that we've been trained to treat the earth, or we've been trained out of our connection with the earth, whether it is through these bright fluorescent lights, even this blue light in our phones that take us away or exiles us from the natural light of the world that keeps us in rhythm with the circadian rhythm, right? Whether it is the rubber of the soles of our shoes that keeps us disconnected to Mother Earth, whether it's the beds we sleep on, whether it's whatever it is. There's so many things that have taken us away from being able to tune into and tap into the wisdom of the earth, the rhythm of the earth. And when we begin to treat ourselves better, and we begin to treat the earth better, and we begin to commune with the earth, you know, sitting in the sun for 5 minutes a day, or 10 minutes, and then you realize that you start to know and you can feel in your body that I need the sun. I'm craving the sun. I need the medicine of the sun. You go out and you take a walk. You can start to hear the conversation that you have with the earth and what that is. And, you know, it's the same thing with maybe you have a sense of anxiety or you're feeling a little bit scattered, you know that I need to go outside and I need to go and just walk around barefoot on the grass for some time, or lie down on the grass, maybe take a nap there. But we're coming back into understanding what the earth and us have in common, which is a lot. For one, the percentages of the human body, depending on our health, is, as you know, between 65% between and 80%, and that's the same ratio of the water, right? We're in this amniotic fluid of the earth, and that means something because we ourselves are made up of the earth. The waters, the rivers of the earth are the spines of the earth, and we need to understand, come back into understanding what that means. How does that affect us, our relationship with water, the waters of our own bodies, but the ocean within us, oceans of the earth. This is the ancient wisdom that we're coming back into contact with, and this is also the activations of ancient prophecies that are being activated at this time. They've already been activated, but particularly this year and the times that we're moving into, we are living in prophetic times. So, yeah, I would essentially call this period that we've been inside of celestial upgrades. We are being upgraded into more ancient parts of us, beyond color lines. Some of these ideas that we hold so rigidly are actually the things that keep us from knowing ourselves better, but also keep us from each other. Right? There's an agenda that keeps us separate, that keeps us fighting amongst ourselves. So when I say we are having celestial upgrades that are beyond color lines, we are understanding that it isn't about my gender. It isn't about the color of my skin. It isn't that I'm an African person. It isn't that I'm a woman. It isn't these things. We are one beyond that place. And when we remember those things, the more that we can unite as a universal family and meet at a place where the so-called elites, the puppeteer masters, those that are warmongers, hungry for blood, those that have been terrorizing the planet for centuries. Once we deny the patterns that they give us, the stories that they serve us, the ones that say, I'm going to judge this, I'm going to reject this, I'm going to fight against this. Once we begin to, and it's not to say do not have pride, and we have to receive the coding, right? The gifts that our culture gives us, the gifts that our race gives us, or the positioning we come from geographically on the planet. There's a reason why you've been activated into the place you've been activated into, right? There was a reason why you've been born into a certain country. There's an understanding you must gain, but that's not the end of the story. The same way that, going to high school isn't the end of the story. Going to university isn't the end of the story. There's all of these components are there to serve as a map that transcends us beyond the flesh, beyond the labels, and even beyond the experiences that the labels manifest. I hope that makes sense. I've been told that I speak in riddles. I guess I do sometimes, but it's also okay. Like, I understand that I am who I am. I don't know why I'm explaining, but I guess I'm saying this to say, I'm also just trying to come back online. I have been living in shame and guilt about who I am for so long. Feeling guilty for feeling deeply, feeling guilty for seeing what I see or knowing what I know, or yeah. But there is a tribe of people who move like I do, who know or have sensibilities like I do. I'm drawn to them, and they'll be drawn to me, and that's all we can be. But there's no point in us being anything other than what we are here to be. We are designed and destined and purposed to be. So destinies, and as I say that word, yeah, destinies with the celestial upgrades, destinies are being activated. The underdogs, the pure-hearted ones, the ones who are not doing things for clout or for followers and numbers, who aren't stealing other people's ideas and to be the thing that we think we need to be for these times. The ones that trust that being themselves, regardless of how painful it is to be seen or to come out and emerge, knowing what you have survived in the past by being yourself. That's all coming down. And yeah, so And when I say color lines, I also mean you're meeting beyond the stereotypes, you're meeting beyond these concepts and the ideas and the boxes and the cool kids here, and authenticity and purity, righteousness and truth is the way. The meek, the children of God, are coming home. So, that is what I am feeling through for this year. And the last two things I will add is that we are going to understand energy more and more. How important it is to conserve your energy, to give it to the right people, to the right places. How we've been manipulating for energy, how we manipulate others for energy, how we get manipulated for energy, and how to rein back our energy and learn how to use it in a way that flows, in a way that doesn't hurt us, and in a way that doesn't hurt others, in a way that doesn't hurt the earth. And with that, I actually want to do a book club. It might be the only book club I do it once off, but I'd like to do a reading. I want to read the Celestine Prophecy again. I read it over 10 years ago and it completely changed my life. It was one of the books that put me on the path and that activated me into aspects of myself that are beyond color lines. Me being a woman, African, all of these things, me being black. And I want to read it, so I'm going to read chapter to chapter for you, for us. And yeah, you can listen with me, and I will create a playlist where we have all the chapters there. But I thought that it would be nice to have it come alive energetically by us sharing together, by it being read with an actual voice, with my energy placed onto it. So I'm excited about that. But within it talks about synchronicity and focuses on energy. And the dramas humans go into, the 4 dramas that are basically us struggling for energy. I'm still learning, you know, still learning my own style and trying to dissolve the ways in which I've conditioned myself into using energy, using energy, giving it away and things like that. So looking after your energy is going to be very, very important. I'll link to a video that I did that basically talks about how to navigate a spiritual awakening. We can call that also kind of navigating energy, our own energy, how to give energy to yourself, the grounding, the sun. Energy will be important for you to understand, to harness, to cultivate this year. And then the last one that allows us to put all of that towards the place that it needs to go towards, and that is us remembering that we are custodians of this earth and all in it and on it. What does that mean for you? What does it mean in how we show up for the waters of the earth, the elements of the earth, the elementals, whatever it might be, where your gifts are, the ley lines, grid lines, mountains, the caves, the animals, the wild animals, the insects, the ecosystem. What does it mean to be here at this time? That's the question of the year and of the futures that we're moving into, this golden age that we're transitioning into. What is it calling for you to be, to do, to dissolve, to put away, to assume, to put back on, to uncover, to take out, so that you can fulfill the prophecy you've come here to live? Fear is necessary to the extent that it alerts us of danger that surrounds us. But fear is not natural when it keeps us from fulfilling the call of our hearts, the purpose that we've showed up for, the destinies that we're meant to grow into. And we dissolve false fear by remembering more and more who we truly are, and that is love. It's not corny whatsoever, and because love is, the songbirds that sing to let us know that the sun is coming up so we can wake up and we can start journeying outside. The sun that photosynthesizes everything so that we can have food. The water that circulates through the earth, that goes up, it goes down from the mountains into the rivers, back into the sea, goes up into the sky if it rains. All of that to me is love. Cooperation is at the core of this experience that we're here witnessing. And how do we then fall into the flow of all of that? Cooperation. How do we cooperate with the organic functioning of all that is? Becoming like dust. That is the theme for me this year. Becoming like dust. And it's definitely a year of providence, of harvest for me. And while those who have been doing the work will be holding space for those who, this is one thing I didn't mention, for those who have been asleep to what is going on. This is going to be, okay, I did touch on it, this is going to be a shocking year for them, and many people will be in what we call a dark night of the soul, dark night of the heart, dark night of the mind, and it's really just being confronted with the illusion, with the mistruth, the conditioning, the programming, with the lies, with the falsities. And you survive a dark night of the soul by allowing yourself to be in it. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What am I being tormented by? I'm angry, okay, I'm angry, owning it. And being brave enough to reach out to the people that can help you cross the river, help you out of the raging sea. We are okay. The collapsing of the physical, or collapsing people's spiritually collapsing, emotionally collapsing, is going to be met by the light that's coming in. And those that have done the work, that are faithful with it. So we're okay. Everything is okay. We are calling in a new paradigm. We are witnessing the dawning of a new earth. A new human is emerging. And it is such an exciting time to be alive. Fret not, my friend. You've got this. I love you. Yabulela, Kyalebuha, Maitabasa, Asante sana, Zikomo, merci beaucoup, bedankt, Hausch, Mako, Mahalo.